been a long while.
Yes. I'm not sure I've spoken to you since you took up the position.
I think we spoke, but the whole of last year, I don't think we met.
Yes.
Yes. We've been in the wilderness, trying to restore our country to order. It's been a very Herculean task, but the results are showing.
I see. Your position, in fact, the name is quite the position that you've been given.
Yes.
First,
loaded, eh?
Yes, very loaded. First, explain to me what exactly your job is. What are you supposed to do?
Okay, so I lead the presidential initiatives in Agric and Agribusiness Office.
Okay.
Under the Office of the President, and also advise the President on agriculture and agribusiness matters.
Okay.
And so my role basically is to coordinate special interest areas in agriculture and agribusiness. And so I coordinate initiatives across the Ministries of Trade, Agribusiness and Industry, the Ministry of Food and Agriculture, and the Ministry of Fisheries and Aquaculture. And so that's basically the work that I do. And so special interest areas that advances the broad objectives and mission and vision of His Excellency President John Dramani Mahama to use agriculture as a tool for economic transformation is what I major in. And so I facilitate private investment, external capital investment into those special interest areas, coordinate, facilitate, and manage projects in that respect.
It's a big job. So you're working with 3 different ministries.
Yes.
Food and Agric, Fisheries and Aquaculture, Trade and Industry, and Agribusiness. Wow, that's a lot of work. What have you been doing over? Because I realized that we've been trying to arrange this interview for some time now. You were mostly engaged, very busy. Exactly, what have you been doing over this period? What have you been focused on?
Well, again, the people of this country have entrusted in us the confidence to save the country for them.
Okay.
Most importantly, the people want food, and not just any food. They want quality food, which is affordable, which is easily accessible, which is sustainably available, and which is heavily nutritious. And that is all what food security is about. And so what it means is that if you are entrusted with any responsibility within this space, as I've expressed, from the ministries that are responsible for it and my office, it means that you have an Herculean task to deliver. And there is no excuse, and there is no space, no room for comfort. You have to hit the ground running. And indeed, that is what we have done in the past few months. We inherited a country where food prices was exceedingly high, went as high as over 60% in terms of food inflation. Our general inflation was about 54%. And as I have said to you a number of occasions, Ghana's inflation, the major driver is food inflation. And so our core responsibility as a team working in the space of agriculture was to work to bring food inflation down so that significantly it can have that pull down effect on inflation. And so that has been our target. And this is the first time in history that you have so many multiple institutions working in the space of agriculture and agribusiness. In the past, you would have the Ministry of Food and Agriculture, and that's all. They deal with fisheries and aquaculture, they deal with agribusiness and nothing else. But this time around, this work has been devolved into various segments so that it will allow for technical efficiency and it will allow for productivity. And so you have the Ministries of Trade and Agribusiness and Industry dealing with the issues of agribusiness. And I'm going to come to that and probably explain what agribusiness means, because most people don't really get the difference.
Yes.
Then you have the Ministry of Food and Agriculture having to deal with food. So food crops and its availability, its quality and all that, and the production of it, which is the agriculture. Then you have the Ministry of Fisheries and Aquaculture having to deal with fisheries, the marine fishing, and the production of table fish from other cage culture or any of the other cultures. And so the job has been devolved.
Okay.
Then my office is also created because the president wants to use agriculture as a transformational tool, so that there can be some focus on those interest areas, those drivers that would drive the accelerated outcomes that you want in agriculture. And so that's what we have been working on. And so the president, during his campaign in 2024, had assured Ghanaians that he's going to launch what we call the Agriculture for Economic Transformation Agenda.
Okay.
Which economic transformation agenda has 3 pillars. Okay. And the first pillar was the Feed Ghana pillar, which is housed under the Ministry of Food and Agriculture. Okay. Then the feed industry, ostensibly the agro-industrialization bit, which is housed mainly under the Ministry of Trade and Agribusiness. Then the other bit is agro-infrastructure development. Okay. Agro-infrastructure development, you will see its importance when I come back to break the issues down for you. And so Feed Ghana mainly ostensibly is focusing on providing affordable quality food crops available for the table. Okay. Now, there's what we call food systems in agriculture, and the food systems defines the food culture of the people. Okay. And so the food culture determines the kind of agriculture that you do. Okay. And that's why mostly in other countries they add food and agriculture together. Because your food culture, the kind of food that you eat, is what determines the kind of food crops that you produce. Okay. And so if you produce food crops that you do not eat, you would see that your food systems would be shaky, and your food systems would be dependent on other countries' food systems or food production. And that's what we call the food sovereignty. And so for starters, you would realize that the food systems of Ghana have changed markedly over the period, where we used to do apapransa, we used to do bancham pesie, menkam pesie, brobe. Have you eaten brobe before?
I'm not sure what brobe is.
You don't know what it is. You know it's brobe.
My cheese limited.
And on all kinds of foods. Okay. Kokonte. I mean, when was the last time you even saw kokonte? And so we have moved markedly from all these traditional foodstuffs or food that we were producing ingredients or foodstuffs for, food crops for. And we have moved into the Indomie era, where we all consume Indomie because of convenience. That will bring me to food security very soon. Okay. Forgive me, I'm catching some cold. So,
don't worry.
So we have moved the food systems, and we are eating the kind of foods that we do not really grow yet. So Indomie produced mainly out of wheat, which we do not grow in Ghana because it's produced out of the wheat flour. There are other new discoveries, and they are using cassava to produce, noodles, and maize to produce noodles and all that. Maybe we may have to go into those realms and produce those kind of foods.
Cassava
we
for
have
noodles.
To adapt. Yes, we have to adapt. Cassava is an amazing ingredient for noodles now, and they are moving away.
Cassava, maize for noodles.
Yes, cassava and maize for noodles, and they are not using the wheat flour again. And the Chinese are doing so well, and these are discoveries that we have to adapt very quickly, particularly because we have adopted this noodles culture in Ghana. And so the food systems now would require some modicum of engineering so that we can strengthen the local food and be able to use that as a driver for agro production so that our farmers do not go out of business. Okay. And so there's a trend that started 3 years ago in the northern part of Ghana, which is our grain belt, where we produce most of the grains, from sorghum to millet to maize to soybean and all that. And the interesting thing is that they started growing what we call sesame. And they started growing sesame for 2 good reasons. One, economic, because there was high prices for sesame. Okay. And the other food crops like maize and all that, they were not getting the returns. And again, because it was also convenient and didn't give them stress. And so you would realize that if it is not controlled and it is not managed, and they don't have consistent demand for maize and soybean, because of economic reasons, they will all move to produce sesame. And how much sesame do we consume in Ghana? Then it changes the food systems. Okay. And so it is important that we place the food systems right.
Okay.
And that is what is informing most of the policies that we have put in place, which I'm going to come up to very soon.
So you're building your policies on our food culture, first of all. The things we consume.
Exactly.
Okay.
Exactly. So first you must understand the problems that you are in, then you prefer the solutions. And so that brings me to the broad issue of building a food secured economy.
Okay.
And so when you say you are building a food secured economy, you want to build an economy where the food that you consume, you are able to produce enough. You are able to make it available to the table or to households. You are able to make it affordable. You are able to get it continuous, because today, when you eat and you are full, you get 3 square meals a day, and tomorrow you don't get a square meal a day. You are not food secured.
Okay.
So it must be sustainable. So if I eat 3 times a day or twice a day, I must be able to eat twice a day every day.
Okay.
And so there are 4 major legs of food security, and those are the ones that I've mentioned, including what we call utilization, which has to do with nutrition and the absorption of the food that you eat. Then the most important leg that we have abandoned, which is causing the food system shifts, is convenience. Convenience, yes. The convenience is that now human beings select food not because it is nutritious, not because it is available or affordable, but because it is convenient. Because you have an economy that is growing, the middle class is growing, working class is growing, and so people do not have time to pound fufu in their house. So the mother will come home around 6 p.m., 7 p.m. You can't come and, peel cassava and put it on fire and do the soup and pound fufu. It will be ready around 8 p.m. So the quickest one is noodles.
Okay.
So they go for noodles.
Interesting.
The quickest one is ammonia anwa. So they go for ammonia anwa. So you would realize that some 2 decades ago, rice was not a staple in Ghana, a daily staple in Ghana. It was only a Christmas meal.
Yes.
But because rice also comes with some modicum of convenience, that is why we have moved to rice.
Faster to cook.
Very good. And so if you don't tackle the issue of convenience in your food systems, you will be food insecure. Okay. And that is where agro-processing comes in.
I see.
Agro-industrialization comes in. So how do you process the food that you produce to be able to make it convenient for people to eat in traffic? You just buy and you just have your lunch, snacks, in the car. And that is what agro-processing. So you have cassava, you have maize, you have plantain, you have cocoyam. What are you doing to the yam, the cocoyam, the cassava? Okay. And the kids of today have now grown taste for KFC and Chicken Man and all that because of the chips. And your kids will say, we want French fries. French fries is a basic processing, activity that has been added to potatoes, just like that. So they just peel the potatoes, cut them into slices so that it will be easy for you to pour into oil, and within 5 minutes, they are ready for consumption. Okay. And so agro-processing becomes very key leg of building a food secured economy. Okay. Having said this, how have we in the past year worked to bring food inflation down? Moved from a position where there is food shortage, where we had to give food stamps just 1 year ago, to a position where there's food glut, and farmers are crying that their commodities are not being bought. Okay. And so this is what we did. So when President Mahama won elections, he tasked us by our plan that we have campaigned on, that let's deal with the issue that prevents farmers from growing enough. Okay. And the issue that prevents farmers from growing enough cuts across from pre-production, production, and post-production activities and challenges. So I'll pick them one after the other. So pre-production. Pre-production challenges were, one, access to land. So farmers have issues with access to land because of the land tenure system. Okay. And it is the reason why 95% of our farmers are smallholder farmers. and they cultivate 1 acre, 2 acre, 3 acre.
You don't invest much into
yes,
them. Yeah.
because they don't have, and even if there is land, it's a family land, and the family land, you have 10 children, and they have to share among them, so everybody will get small. And so that is the main challenge. And you don't have the situation where government has enough land that they have prepared for commercial production of like 100 hectares, 200 hectares, 1,000 hectares, and so on and so forth. And so most of the farmers are smallholder farmers. Now, these smallholder farmers, because the land, which is an input, is lower in size, it makes them produce less. And because they are producing on these small lands, they are not able to benefit from what we call economies of scale. And because they are not able to benefit from economies of scale, all the other inputs that they are going to get becomes very difficult to assess because, one, they don't have access to credit because they are not able to accumulate collateral or accumulate enough capital to be able to be viable and compete on the financial market to be able to access credit. So they can't access credit. Now, when they are not able to access credit, then it becomes a barrier for access to inputs. What are the key inputs? The key inputs are the seeds that they need, high quality seeds, high performing seeds. They need the agrochemicals, which will prevent pests and diseases from attacking their crops. And they need crop growth materials, which will help the crop to grow faster and yield higher. Now, these main ingredients, including labor, which usually they have because most of them, have been doing it for a very long time. The average farmer age in Ghana is around 60%, 55 to 60 years. And so, they might have worked for a very long time. The young people have moved away, though. Labor is a problem. I'll come to that. But essentially, all those inputs are available. But the inputs is expensive again. And the reason why in the past we have not been able to produce enough is that the inputs that they use are all imported. So if you want a fertilizer, it is imported.
Yes.
If you want calcium sulfate, it's imported. NPK is imported. If you want cutlass, even cutlass is imported, which is supposed to be the oldest form of mechanization. It's imported. You want the seeds, it's imported. So the seeds that you will plant, you are not even producing it here. And so immediately there is a macroeconomic disbalance. It means that the farmer suffers the biggest. And that is why exchange rate depreciation of all forms must be avoided by government. Now, the good news that has worked for us, which this government started as a clear strategy to deal with the issue of sustainable agriculture, was to deal with the macroeconomic fundamentals. And that is one significant thing that we have done for agriculture. In fact, it's the biggest and the historic move that we have done for agriculture, which will yield for generations to come. And so the key thing we needed to do was to deal with input cost. So to make input affordable. Then we also have to deal with the input quality, the access to quality inputs, the kind of inputs that will not get the farmer to lose. When you put the seed, 100 seeds in the soil, you must get 100 seeds coming out or 99 seeds coming out. Then that's where you talk about quality inputs. When you pick a mechanization equipment, a tractor, the tractor should be able to work for several years. I have gone to farms outside the country, and they have tractors that are over 50 years, and they are still viable and working on them.
50-year-old
tractors. In fact, recently I joined a forum in Pennsylvania as part of their farmer show, and they display mechanization equipment, and they are bringing out 60-year-old tractor, and it's plowing the fields.
Still working.
Yes.
In good condition.
In good condition. And so the quality of the inputs, very, very important. If it's mechanization equipment, are they quality enough? Now, all those things are very key. But talking about mechanization equipment, all these are imported, and you need forex to go and buy them.
Yes.
And so when you are able to stabilize your currency, then you are able to buy these mechanized equipment, introduce new technology at very affordable prices. But most importantly also, it gives you the opportunity to build capital to be able to set up and manufacture those equipments here. Because for any technology that you do not have, which you are importing, if you want to localize that technology, you will need a lot of forex to build the systems, the structure, the tools, and the mechanism to be able to manufacture them here. And so first the forex issue was tackled, and as you may be aware now, we have appreciated in 1 year about 46%, and that is most significant. And so now it has made it cheaper to bring in inputs. So fertilizer that was being sold by 750 kilo bag for 700 Ghana cedi, 750 Ghana cedi, is now being sold around 400 Ghana cedi, and in some instances 350 Ghana cedis.
Okay.
That is a very significant reduction
yeah.
in fertilizer. So the farmer was buying condemn for 150 Ghana cedi. In some instances, depending on the kind of condemn is a weedicide.
Okay.
For 200 Ghana cedi. Okay. Now they are buying it at 80 Ghana cedis. They are buying it at 70 Ghana cedis. In some instances, 50 Ghana cedis. So you cannot afford not to be efficient and productive. And so the farmer who was averagely spending about 3,000 Ghana cedi, 4,000 Ghana cedi per season to cultivate his crops is now spending about 1,000 Ghana cedi per season. So what do you expect? You can only expect the farmer to grow more. And the bit about even spending less, government is looking at making it even more extra convenient. And so before the elections, I came here and I shared with you the thought about the farmer services centers.
Yes.
And I said the farmer services centers were supposed to be all-round service centers for the farmer. And so we were combining two things, input subsidy and input credit for the farmer. Now, because we have not, and it requires a lot of infrastructural, investment, we were not able to start last year. So we decided that the fertilizers, let government give it to the farmers for free.
Okay.
So the farmers got most of the fertilizers for free.
Free fertilizer?
Free fertilizer. Most of the farmers got free access to free fertilizer.
Not subsidized?
Not subsidized.
You just
not subsidized. Unlike what they used to do under Planting for Food and Jobs, where you would go to some service provider and go and pick it, and they say it's credit, you have to come and pay back. And sometimes even the service providers take advantage of government. They do rent seeking and, they said they have given this, but they have not given that. And all those instances that we had to experience. This time, it was given to them for free. So that they would have that access. Now, because, again, significantly fuel prices and all the other macroeconomic fundamentals are doing well, now the rental for tractor, which used to be 400 Ghana cedis per acre, had significantly also come down. And so if the farmer wants to plow his land, he pays less to plow his land. So he's becoming more technically efficient, more productive, and he's becoming more profitable. And so he's able to sell the commodity at a cheaper price. And so if you look at the agro value chain from livestock production to crop production, there have been a significant cut down in input cost. And that is what agriculture is about. That's what every government is about. Make sure that the input cost is lower. In fact, last time, I just checked the producer price index for, I think, November or so, and it was 1.9% producer price inflation. Producer inflation. So it means that it's not even only for agriculture. For all other producers, inflation has significantly 1.9 ABC that. It has never happened before. And you see, so this is a result of an integrated effort that we have put in place on the ground to make sure that agriculture is productive, is profitable, and it becomes attractive for young people. When it becomes cheaper and easy to engage in agriculture, it becomes more exciting for young people to engage in it. And the more young people are engaging in it, the more they deploy creativity to make sure that they become more technically efficient. And so that is why you are seeing the results that you see, Senna.
And that's the food glut.
That's the food glut.
Basically. And this one, I can quote someone who is within your party, speaks for your party constantly, a former minister, Alhaji Yunus Afuseni, who also farms in the north.
Yeah.
He says he's still holding on to his rice because the price that's been offered is not good enough. You've made them a promise that you offtake that rice. Have you been able to do that for most of them?
For the first time in a very long while, within a short period of time, buffer stock has been given almost about $300 million to buy the food and build a buffer. Remember that, the food market is bigger
Okay.
Sometimes when we talk about market for food, we only consider the Agbogboloshi market and the Kaneshi market, KJTR market, and all that. That is not actually the market for food. The market for food goes beyond those physical locations. The market for food is actually what you do with food. The food ingredients. And so the markets play a role. That's where you and I will go and buy and bring it to the table. But also, the market includes the institutions that consume large volumes of these food ingredients. Then the market also includes the agro industries. And so if you are producing in excess, it is not only markets that you have to build. You have to make sure that you bring agro industrialization on stream so that they would offload the food items as raw materials, add value, increase the value of those commodities, and be able to export to the external market and feed the internal market also. And so the thing about agriculture is that the market goes beyond the Ghanaian local market. It goes to the world. And remember, the entire world looks at Africa to produce the food. Now, what we do not do yet is that we do not add value and put the food in the shape that the world wants. And so what they do is that they come here and they buy the soya bean, they buy the maize very cheap. Then they go and add the value. Then they sell on the market and they even make more profits. And perhaps as we go ahead, I will cite one example that has to do with cocoa for you, and you'll be shocked. You understand? And so that's the whole thing about the market. And so whilst you encourage and improve your road network, which is under agro-infrastructure, enhancing the movement of the goods and services onto the market, the local markets, making it cheaper to move the food from the farm gate to the consumer, then you also have to be looking at growing your agro industries so that they take the larger volumes. The volumes that the agro industries take is not the volumes you see on the market, though. They are huge volumes. For example, there is an ethanol factory project that we, from our office, we are doing with some Indian company. And we are looking at cultivating about 3,000 hectares of maize to feed their factory. And that will not even be enough, because every day, if you are running even 8 hours, you need about 70 metric tons a day. So if you multiply by 360 5 days in a year, and they are going to run, if let's assume usually such factories run 9 months so that they can use 3 months to do repairs of the equipment and all that. Look at the volumes that you need. You will need a lot of volumes. And so if you set such factories up and you have not solved the issues of production so that you'll be able to produce excess, you will not be able to feed the factory. And so whilst you are working at production, which I believe from first principle is the first thing to do, because if you have not solved the issues of production, when you build the factories and expand the market, you're expanding the market for what? And so we have used the first year to lay structures that will increase the production. And so this is a temporal shock. The glut you see is a temporal shock. And it must happen so that you see the effect of what you are putting on the ground. But the immediate action that you take is to put a sustainable measure in place to offtake this excess production into processing so that you can process for the market. Ethanol is becoming the next gold of the global market because of the green, economists that others are looking at. Some are looking at using ethanol as a fuel for their vehicles and all that. In some countries, they've passed laws that you have to add ethanol to your petrol or your fuel before you put in your cars. And car manufacturers are even redesigning engines to run on ethanol and all that. But in Ghana, we have access to the raw materials for ethanol in abundance. Talk of cassava, we have it in abundance. Talk of maize, we have it in abundance. And so these industries that must be built would now create the market for these excesses. And so you are able to now have a sustainable system which is now producing what the industry needs, what the households needs, what the market needs, and even what the external market needs. Then you are able to put people in business. You are able to create more jobs along the value chain. As you build the industries, you create jobs. As you expand the markets, you create jobs. As you make the the markets accessible from connecting the markets to the farm gate, you create a lot of jobs. The aggregators in the space are able to trade more. I know a lot of young people that have taken on the business opportunity of trading commodities now. And so they go to the farm gates and they buy the commodities and they move them to the market. In fact, some of them even store so that they can now look at the market and hedge, in the market and all that. And so these are opportunities along the value chain. But are you aware that our lack of access to the farm gates and connecting the farm gate to the market is costing this nation about $2.5 billion every year in post-harvest losses?
$2.5 billion. You're saying the cost of our post-harvest losses annually?
Yeah, annually, $2.5 billion. Yet we are importing. Yes, yet we are importing. Our food import bill is about $3 billion, a little between $3 billion and $4 billion. And so that means that we are actually losing half of what we import into the country.
More than half.
More than half of what we import into the country. And the food that we lose through post-harvest losses can feed the entire Ashanti region a whole year and a half.
Ashanti region is significant. Yes. In terms of size and
population.
Yes,
in terms of their population. It can feed the whole Ashanti region a year and a half, provided there's no food coming from anywhere.
That is what we are losing because of a lack of connection between the farm gates and the market.
But not that alone. Not that alone.
Okay.
Post-harvest losses encompasses a lot. It starts from the harvesting itself, post-harvest handling, the transportation, and the storage.
Okay.
You understand? So the entire process from harvesting, are you using the right tools to harvest?
Okay.
And so yesterday I was just telling somebody that, for example, those who cultivate soya bean, one of their biggest challenges in the world, in Ghana now, is that they cannot use mechanized harvesting tools. They can't use combined harvesters. The reason is very simple. Our variety of soya bean that we cultivate have a shorter clearance.
Okay.
And so it's very close to the ground.
Okay.
And so you can't use the combined harvester. The combined harvester cuts at a certain clearance level.
Oh, okay.
And because our land preparation in Ghana, we don't have levelers that level the land flat.
Yeah.
And so your clearance is not even uniform.
Okay.
And so when you are using combined harvesters, and the combined harvesters that usually comes in have about 2 or 3 inches or 4 inches clearance. And so that means that if you use it to harvest your soya bean, you lose half of it.
Okay.
And His Excellency, the President, is a soya bean farmer. And his farm, that is his biggest problem. He always talks about it. How do we try to get, the variety that would be a little bit higher so that when you pass the combined harvester, it's able to cut at a good clearance and the grains are able to go into the harvester. So what we do is that we do manual harvesting for soya bean. Okay. And the manual harvesting makes the cost of production very high because you need more labor to do that. And even with that, still we lose a lot because then they have to beat the beans out of the shells.
Physically.
Yes, physically, yes. And that leaves a lot of the beans on the farm. And so it's a bigger problem that we have to deal with. And that also is a post-harvest issue that we have to deal with. So the tools that you use in harvesting makes the post-harvest, losses come down. Okay. Then how you handle it. For example, those who harvest watermelon, for example, what tools do you use to harvest? And so how, after harvesting, how do you handle? You see them throwing then when it hits anything, bang, it's gone. Watermelon already.
I know.
And so you will lose almost half of your watermelon trying to move it to the market. Okay. And so these are solutions that government must put measures in place to do. And to do this, Gov'T'S, that is an institution under Ministry of Trade and Agribusiness, are now working towards training young people in fabrication and innovation, developing the implements on our own. Because our crops that we grow here and their varieties are unique. Okay. And so we must design local solutions for this. And for example, we had that issue in cassava, and one professor in KUST, Professor Bobobi, I had a conversation with him last year. We are looking at helping him to expand his discovery of a cassava harvester that he has designed. He designed, and yes, and other countries are buying from him. And we have not given him that support, that needed support to expand this technology that can harvest large volumes of cassava within a very short time.
Easily
with an
efficient
tool. And we do a lot of cassava.
Yeah.
We do a lot of cassava. In fact, we need to do more because most of the starch factories that we set up are having challenges with access to raw material. We need to do more. That's another matter that we can talk about later. And so those are the issues we have to deal with. And over the past years, every single policy decision has been targeted at working to deal with this. And so for the roads, for example, you have heard that President Mahama is saying that, look, he's committing $30 billion to construct the roads, particularly to the agriculture areas. Yeah. And we call them agro roads. Yeah. And so you would see that there are farm plains, which is one of the biggest belts for food crops. Coming into the market, you would have to go through the pontoon and all that, and the pontoon only works for a certain period. Yeah. And so President Mahama says we should construct the bridge over the farm plains. The Volleyball bridge is also under construction. And
so you see that it?
Yes.
So they were supposed to do it under Nana Akufo-Addo.
They put all the systems in place. I mean the road master. Kwame Agboja is doing massive job, and the roads that he's constructing are very targeted roads. You know, for example, if you look at the Bono region, it's one of the biggest belts for poultry production and other cash crops like cashew and cocoa and all that. But they have one of the worst roads. And you will see that in recent times this year there has been an aggressive push to connect most of the routes in the Bono region and that of the Ashanti region and the Western North region, so that there would be easy movement of goods and services. One area that we are looking at advancing significantly to enhance the movements of food commodities across the country is the Volta Lake. And we, under the 24-hour economy initiative, we are looking at developing the water transport route so that you can easily move commodities from the south to the north and the north to the south. Then, in addition to that, develop a Western Corridor railway line that can connect, food commodities from the north to the south. And railway becomes more cheaper to transport large volumes of food than the road. The road is more expensive, and it makes it even more expensive for the maintenance of the road. And the challenges that we go through. And so all these are comprehensive measures that the government, let me call it an integrated measure that the government is putting in place to make sure that our gains are sustainable. Because as I said, if the food, you get it in abundance today and you don't get it tomorrow, you have done cost 90. So now our strategy is to make it sustainable so that the food prices are able to stabilize on a lower scale. But at the same time, the farmer can continue to be profitable and be able to create more jobs for the young people and to be able to sustain economic livelihood and grow the economy as a whole.
It seems there's a lot to do, because even when you're talking about the post-harvest losses, because typically we just assume that it's road. But you're talking about three other things that we haven't paid attention to that contribute significantly to it. Those three, you talk about gratis, helping with some farm implements to do with the matter of harvesting, handling, storage. What's the solution?
Okay, so let me add this, that the Farmer Services Centers is also targeting this particular solution. So all the Farmer Services Centers that are coming with fully efficient combined harvesters that will provide the harvesting for the farmers. And one of the initiatives that I'm working on in my office, I'll come to my initiatives very soon, is the Dubidi initiative. Last year, we produced about 100,000 bags of rice through that initiative. What we do in that initiative is that together with some private partners, we provide the inputs for the farmers at the first instance. So if they need tractor services, you provide it for them. You give them the seeds, you give them the fertilizer, then you harvest for them. So what they do is the maintenance and the labor work on the farm. Then when they harvest, they pay they pay with the harvest. So you don't have to go and sell to pay to you. And so you recover from the harvest. And so the farmer starts the full season without spending a cedi on the farm. And this is an integrated outgrower model that we have designed. And we are looking at upscaling. There are multiple partners that are working with us on various crop commodities. We just signed an agreement last month with a company called Maflex to do same in vegetables, so that we can allow more smallholder farmers to cultivate efficiently. So you provide the knowledge, the skill, the training, the tools. Then they do it. Then you recover. Then you can now even buy what the extra that they have have harvested and give them money. You understand? So you increase their profitability and you handle the marketing. And so what this does is that you are able to provide the tools and the equipment that makes them harvest efficiently. And so when the harvest time is due, the machines go, you harvest for them, they reduce their losses. Then when you have harvested for them, the next step would be the storage. Now, storage is one thing that shouldn't have been a problem in Ghana, but because of several years of neglect of the existing facilities that have been built by previous governments. I mean, there are facilities that we built between 2009 to 2016 that the MPP never used, and some of them have been left in the forest. And so the past year, what we have been doing is to take stock of all the available facilities. Are you aware that there is a 1 million metric ton silo facility in Asin Central as we speak? That has been abandoned for
1 million metric ton
silo. Yes.
Silo.
Yes.
That's meant for storage.
You see, that's meant for storage. And that can store several volumes of rice paddy that can, serve, the entire central region, within even a year when it comes to rice supply.
That's huge.
That's quite huge. And in fact, just a few weeks ago, it was brought to my attention by the Kantanka Agric Department. Yes. And they are doing some work around that area. And they went to the assembly to assess that facility. And they want to take that facility and refurbish it so that they can use it to buy the rice along that belt. The Central Region this year produced a lot of rice than any other year in the history of Central Region. They produce a lot of rice. Yeah, this year the Southern Belt actually produced so much rice. Unexpected. Previously, everybody says the rice is in the majority, but this year there's a lot of rice produced, across the country, and that's why, people are complaining. Now, the important thing about these gains in rice, for example, is that we must be able to quickly get this rice into storage. The farmers, their worry is not about the glut too much, but their worry is where to store the rice.
Yeah.
So if they get a place to store the rice, they wouldn't be worried because they know the money will come.
Yeah, because I understand rice can be stored for many years.
Many years. You can store rice to about 6 years, 7 years. The paddy can be stored at the right moisture content. You can store it for 7 years, 8 years. Most of the rice that they import from here, some of them have been stored for over 5 years. Yes.
The ones we buy and shout over.
Yes.
I see.
And so when you mill the rice, that is when you reduce the shelf life. So immediately you mill it, you have reduced the shelf life. If you don't do fortification, you would have to sell it within a matter of 6 months maximum. You understand? And so it is always better to store the rice as a paddy. Over a period before you mill it. And so if these storage facilities are there, it becomes very convenient and comfortable for the farmer to go and store. And so the farmer services centers that we are building have storage facilities that can store the commodities for the farmer on behalf of the farmer so that they can relax and take advantage of the price dynamics when there's price adjustments and all that. And so those are other things that you look at, the storage and all that. And government is really investing in that. In fact, the past year, there have been rehabilitation of most of the abandoned, storage facilities. And we believe that as we continue to, complete the existing ones that are under various stages of completion and refurbish the old ones, we would have enough capacity to be able to store the excess grains that we produce. The only ones that do not survive this kind of long-term storage is the perishable ones. And the perishable ones, there is the reefer systems that you use to keep them for few weeks. And so if we have, proper reefer systems, we would be able to do that. And so there must be investments. And all this sometimes requires private investment capital, because moving vegetables and mangoes from northern region to the south, if you do it in a reefer vehicle, you are able to maintain the viability. Then again, one aspect that we have to look at, which my recent engagement with most of the research institutions, including the universities, have been discussing, is how to look at developing through biotechnology new varieties of our vegetables and perishable crops that has longer shelf life. And so you can develop varieties then extend their shelf life. It's been done. Crops that are not GMO but have longer shelf life. Like tomatoes. When you do same, you can keep the tomato for a while and it will not go bad. And so those are things that require comprehensive government effort and direction, to be able to secure.
Very interesting discussion that has gone to many places. In fact, I think every ministry currently, as we speak, every ministry has a place in agric, the interconnectedness of it. But we'll take a break. When we come back, you tell us about some of the initiatives, because there are some people who are sending some comments on specific issues with regards to where they live. So we'll take that break. When we come back, we'll continue our conversation with Dr. Peter Boamah Otokunor'S, who is Director, Presidential Initiatives in Agriculture and Agribusiness, Office of the President.
Water is life, so let's protect it.
Keep it clean from source to cup. Protect our water, drink it up. Safe for all you and me. For a healthy community.
Let us be vigilant right from the source. Drinking contaminated water can give us diseases like cholera, typhoid, and diarrhea, and can even kill us. Let's ensure containers are well cleaned with lids before sending them to the pipe stand to fetch the water. At home, let's make sure water storage containers are well cleaned with covers and are placed in a very clean and serene environment. Let's wash our hands with soap and water and the cups before fetching for use. Boiling and treating water makes it more cleaner and safer for drinking. Galamsey destroys our water bodies and gives us diseases like skin cancer and kidney diseases. So let's stop Galamsey now to make water less expensive for you. We at Community Water and Sanitation Agency cares a lot about your water, so let it matter to you and protect it. You can visit any of our branches in your community for more information. This announcement is brought to you by the Ministry of Works, Housing and Resources, Community Water and Sanitation Agency, and supported by UNICEF. Thank you.
Chicago Club Borough, yeah, ya do. I'm on Chinago block, Planato Fito T Manu. I pass a manu, I pass a do badu, Yata me do too.
Fellow Ghanaians are citizens of Omofia. Radio Gold is back. I saw it's Kokosa reporting. I saw it's on Mondays, Tuesdays, Thursdays, and Fridays at 5:30 p.m. And it is the same objective, no-nonsense commentary on pertinent religious, socio-political, economic, sports issues. So be my guest and bring your advertisements too, even if they send the tax people to come audit you suddenly. Because you get your results. My name is Efo Daoud Bidan Kosivi Kokosa Achka Akofusi, and I invite you to make a date. It's on Mondays, Tuesdays, Thursdays, and Fridays at 5:30 p.m. See you. Ever.
Yeah, this is Muta Baruch, and you're tuned to Radio Gold.
Prime Eye. Run the track. Run the track. Run the track. Run the track. Well, it is a weeping and a morning and a night and a thief in the dance and who don't think they run but them come when them it come to my sound, it is the champion sound.
Yeah, well, this is Kimano Mali speaking to you all the way from Kingston, Jamaica, 56 Oak Road, and right now you're listening to Prime Eye on Radio Gold.
Reggae Reasons, live on Radio Gold, 90.5 FM, Wednesdays at 7 p.m.
Radio
radio station you can call your own.
I love Radio Gold 90.5.
Well, 40 minutes past 9 now here in the studios of Radio Gold 90.5 FM. Our guest remains Director of Presidential Initiative in Agriculture and Agribusiness, Office of the President, Dr. Peter Boamah Otokuno. And Doc, Richard Anyangba is listening to you. He says free fertilizer is not true. The cost of plowing is going up. I plow an acre for 500 cedis. Feed Ghana did not distribute fertilizer as claimed. He said not in the water.
Richard Ayagba, Obowa.
And also says Peter must work on pricing. For example, cassava is bought cheaply by the industrial processes and farmers are losing out. Yeah. How do you address those concerns? Because I'm also here seeing this is okay. Let me see if I can find him. Because somebody also sent a comment. And there's Louis Tete. As of now, with the people of Achimansa districts, I hope I've gotten the pronunciation of the name right, have not received any fertilizer and seedlings. And Kwame Savo, please ask Peter when I am getting my coconut seedling. My land is at Dokere district in the eastern region. So there are people who are sending comments.
Okay.
And then there's please ask me Otokuno what are the plans for that east and west in this year's farming. We do tomatoes and watermelon, sometimes without proper market for their products. And you can see them displaying this by the roadside when you're coming.
Yeah, a lot of beautiful products.
Yes.
They look so beautiful.
Yes.
And the first question. So let me talk about some
Are you
of the
doing free
initiatives.
Fertilizer across the country? Did you
So
do
every single district.
okay?
But it's not everybody. You have about 2 million to 3 million farmers that are cultivated. You can't give everybody.
Okay.
But all fertilizers that the government put out was for free. It was not for sale. Government didn't sell a single fertilizer last year. Every single fertilizer that was put out there was for free.
Okay.
But obviously, maybe it may not reach all farmers because government will not have the capacity to do it for all farmers in Ghana. But I mean, most farmers who would attest to it got some fertilizer, and it was for free. It was not for sale. Now, to some of the initiatives, somebody asked about coconut. Coconut has been one of the flagship initiatives in my office last year, and we were doing that initiative first of all to provide alternative livelihood for young people who want to go into agriculture. And as I've said, cost has been the barrier for most young people who want to go into agriculture. And so people would have the lands. They might have even inherited or bought the lands, but they don't have the capacity to go and buy, the seedlings to cultivate 2 acres, 10 acres, 20 acres, 100 acres, and all that. And so the vision of His Excellency, the President, is to promote the coconut value chain, not to just remain number one in Africa and be producing the limited quantities that we are producing. Currently, we have coconut plantation covering about 90,000 hectares across the country. This 90,000 acres across the country. And we are number one in Africa. But coconut is one of the most valuable industrial crops in the world. And President Mahama wants to make Ghana an enviable hub for the coconut value chain in Africa. And so he asked us to look at expanding, doubling the cultivable area. And so we're looking at providing support for farmers, which is the main barrier, the inputs, so that they can cultivate. And so last year, yes, we did. Our target is to do 10 million in the medium term. But last year, we were able to do 3 million coconut seedlings, which comes to about 22,000 acres of cultivation. And we decided to not only focus on the commercial farmers that want to expand. So we did this in partnership with the Coconut Federation of Ghana, which is an association, an umbrella body for all coconut farmers. And it was supported by the Exim Bank of Ghana. And so what we did was that beyond the commercial farmers who were doing 100 acres, some were doing 200 acres and all that, we wanted young people to also participate and develop their interest in coconut. And so young people who had access to land, we opened it up for them to apply. get some of the coconut seedlings. And indeed, we got about 1,800 applications from across the country, which was coming to about some 90,000 hectares. Well, the land allocations, we would ask you to tell us the land size that you have.
Okay.
And when we put all together, it was about 90,000 hectares. And obviously, our capacity couldn't reach there. And so we distributed those that we could do in 11 regions.
Okay.
For all this while, coconut has been concentrated in about 3 or 4 regions.
Okay.
But we did the analysis and realized that in Ghana we could grow the coconut in about 11 regions.
11?
Yes, 11 regions. And so we were able to distribute the coconut seedlings to smallholder farmers in 11 regions in the country. And guess what? Just 2 weeks ago, I was in a business forum, investment forum in the States. And one Ghanaian came up when he came to ask the question. Then he said he was encouraged to come and do agric in Ghana. Then he bought 40 acres of land. Then he planted coconut. Then some bushfire came and burnt everything. So he said he wouldn't do agric again. Then he heard that President Mahama wants to do something in coconut.
Okay.
Then he applied for it. Then he has been able to replant the 40 acres of coconut. I felt very proud sitting there and listening to that testimony. And so applies to a lot of young people who have also started this coconut business. The latter part of last year, we visited most of the farms across the country. Next week, we'll be doing training of some of the farmer beneficiaries across those 11 regions. From next week, we will start. The whole idea is to develop our capacity for coconut and coconut production.
Because why is coconut important?
Coconut is very important because one of the most profitable industrial crops. And it has high demand. In fact, it is worth about $35 billion annually across the world.
Coconut.
The coconut husk, the husk that you see.
Yes.
The husk that you see.
Yes.
Is about $6.5 billion US.
But
as
they
at
use
2020.
Zongo Junction.
Yes, Zongo Junction, the things you throw away.
Yes.
And you remember last year, Basin Tali launched a program to convert the coconut husks into biochar. The number of people who come to my office looking for opportunities to buy large volumes of biochar, you have no idea. From India, from Europe, from Bangladesh, they want biochar. You understand? And all the husk is money.
What is biochar?
It's charcoal.
Okay.
It's charcoal.
I see.
Yeah, it's charcoal.
I see.
so every part of the coconut is money. The water, the coconut water alone is worth about $8 billion US as at last year.
I see.
The coconut water and the coconut meat is around $7.6 billion US. That's worth the market. That's why Indonesia is number 1 in the world. And last year, Indonesia was targeting planting 10 million seedlings
of coconut.
I see. Yes. And so the coconut, in fact, is one of the most profitable beyond maybe cocoa. And cocoa, again, may have its own challenges. But beyond cocoa, coconut, palm is the future. Is the
coconut
future.
and palm.
In fact, Kenya alone imports $1 billion worth of palm oil every year. And we are staying here in the sub-region. We are one of the pioneers of palm in Africa, and now we are struggling. We are about number 3 or 4 in Africa in terms of production. Nigeria has surpassed us. Even Ivory Coast has surpassed us. Malaysia, that is number 1 in the world, picked the palm from Ghana. And they domesticated, and they built Malaysia, Singapore, and all those places from our palm. And so that's why we are working on the Red Gold initiative that President Mahama and the team have been talking about.
But it was announced in the budget.
Yes, it was in the budget, the Red Gold initiative. So this year we are going to aggressively pursue that. We are going to pursue that as a means to provide alternative livelihood for a lot of our people, particularly young people. And also to build the industry. The processing industry, because most of the processing industries are now struggling because of the environmental degradation. Now they are not getting it, so there must be conscious effort to expand this production. So the last conversation I had with His Excellency the President, he said we should target expanding it in the medium term about 200,000 acres more of the plantation. And so we are also doing in cocoa. Because cocoa too, we are struggling and coming back. And so we, together with Cocoa Board, we are working on the Youth in Cocoa initiative. And that initiative is targeting developing some lands that we have acquired in the middle belt of the country, northern Volta, Oti, and some parts of the western north region, developing them into blocks and giving it to the young people to manage, provide all the inputs they cultivate, then they harvest and do output sharing with the landowners and the investors. And so this is a model that we are doing with cocoa board in cocoa. And so these are a number of initiatives that we are doing across board, most importantly to improve the livelihoods and create jobs for our young people and also improve the industry. And so I told you that I will tell you a very funny story. Are you aware that Ghana and Ivory Coast produces 65% of the world's cocoa? 65%.
Okay.
And Ghana used to be number one. Now we are number 2 in the world. Now, this 65% of the world cocoa, the entire cocoa market in the world is worth $142 billion US.
142.
142. But are you aware? 142 billion. No be small money.
That's big money.
It passed Ghana's economy like
Yes.
twice. And Ghana and Ivory Coast earns less than 2% of this entire value of 142 billion.
65%.
Yes.
You earn less than 2%.
Less than 2%.
In
fact, Ghana actually earns less than 1% of this entire 142 billion. So you go everywhere, they say Ghana cocoa, premium cocoa. In fact, sometimes most of the European brands will only put cocoa source from Ghana just to make sure that they are able to market it, because Ghana produces the premium cocoa. But we get less than 1% of the 142 billion. Simply because we don't add value. Because we are interested in just selling the beans for the forex. And that is a problem.
Which fetches us less than 1%.
Less than 1% of the entire value. Less than 1%.
142 billion.
Anytime
floating.
I reflect on this, I get goosebumps and I don't understand.
Get only one.
Yes. Yes. So you go to Switzerland, and Switzerland is supposed to be the belt for cocoa, but they have never planted cocoa before. They do all the cocoa export, but they have never planted cocoa before.
A single cocoa plant?
No, not a single cocoa tree. Not even a dummy. You understand? It's because we have not invested in adding value. Okay. And so that's one of the visions of His Excellency President Mahama. And the system have been encouraged to invest into infrastructure that can add value to the cocoa. And indeed, the cocoa is not only the beans. So the value of cocoa is not only in the beans. The cocoa pod is a raw material for biochar, which also has huge international market value. And most of it is wasted on the farm. You understand? And so there is a need to develop the value chain comprehensively. Pick cashew, for example. We produce the premium cashew in the world. We are number 1 in Africa. In fact, maybe in the world. We produce the most premium. So the Indians buy it and send it to Europe and America. In fact, America is the biggest buyer, but they buy it from the Indians. Meanwhile, the Indians, they don't produce it.
They also come and buy from
They buy from here. And you see the sad story of cashew, same as cocoa. Indeed, if you pick the cashew, it comes with the fruit before the nut. The nut is attached to the fruit. We are only interested in the nut, and we produce several volumes of the nut. But we also produce over 300,000 metric tons of the fruits, and we leave them in the forest, and they rot. But apart from the ones that the boys will eat, on the farm as fruits. That's all. Meanwhile, that fruit is a very huge raw material for provision of wine.
So we leave wine.
We leave wine free. And so that opportunity is gone. And when they process that for wine, the waste is animal feed. And we leave that. And so we are working on a number of projects to process the fruits into wine. There's one company that has set up, that has begun the setting up of the factory. Then we are working on another project with another private investor to also set up another one so that we can process the fruits. When you harvest, you sort the fruits out and sort the nuts out. Then you become more profitable as a farmer because you don't waste all that one. And that also would contribute to our forex gains and our economic development and job creation. And so these are many ways that you can improve the lives of the people and the agriculture in general. Then all these industrial crops that I have mentioned, which we are working on, falls under the feed industry program, where you are providing the raw material to feed industry. But most importantly, the food aspect. I mentioned the DOBD initiative, which we are working on. And there's what we call the Youth Agriculture Estate, which we are working on. Then you know about the famous Akoko Nketenkete, which which the ministry launched some months ago. The chicken distribution is ongoing. I know commercial farmers, service providers who are, taking care of the birds. From the thing about the Akoko Nketenkete is that we are giving out what we call the croilers or nuelers. What those birds do is that they are multi-purpose. They are layers and they are also for meat. They can grow very big, except that they don't mature like within 8 weeks as the broilers will do. And so what happens is that they can be kept, they are very hardy animals, so they can be kept on free range. And so the vision of His Excellency, the President, is that let's meet the food nutrition needs of the household, but also provide alternative income for the households, for small households that want to learn and build their skills in poultry. But when you give them the DOCs, the day-old chicks, if you are not careful, they may lose them. And so there are service providers who take the birds for every district and grow them to about 6-8 weeks. Then they do onward distribution to the households. And so at 8 weeks, now it goes to the household. The household can keep them on free range or semi-intensive system, and they can grow. They lay commercially. They can lay plenty eggs. You can hatch some, and you can also sell some, and you are able to make income from it and also support the market in terms of the provision of chicken meat.
Just one criticism of that. Okay, I don't know if you know Nino Hansenote, former MPP. He's of the opinion that if you look at what you are doing, it's not sustainable. That what you should actually be doing is target like 2 big poultry farms.
Don't worry.
Support them in large quantities to produce
you see,
big for you. Do you think that
it's because they look at it in a very microscopic lens? It's, you are not only, there's an intervention. And agriculture is largely an interventional sector. Agriculture, if government does not intervene, would never succeed. Everywhere in the world, in fact, in some cases in the world, like in US, the biggest grants go to agriculture. So they give them, subsidy and all that. So agriculture is largely an interventional sector. So this policy is a household targeted intervention.
Household
targeted intervention. There is the other model of the poultry farm to the table. So the umbrella program is poultry farm to the table. And the Akoko Nketenkete is the household model. But there's a commercial model also, which now gives the birds to the commercial farmers. Then the feed and medications are provided for the commercial farmers. Then they recover when they produce and sell. You understand? In fact, under the FSRP, they tried that and failed. And so now currently the ministry is developing that model so that they see how they can run it. But in my office, I have developed a variation of that with some private partners, which private partners appear to be holding one of the biggest local distribution markets in Ghana. And so what we are doing now, AgriNova. And so we signed the agreement last year. What we are doing is that we are going to get the birds, the DOCs, the feed, the medications, then we give it to the commercial farmers. They take care of the birds. Then we come and harvest 6 weeks, 7 weeks, and go and process and distribute on the market. So you, the farmer, all you need is your infrastructure and your experience. So we bring you the birds. We add some training also. We give you the birds, we give you the medication, we give you the feed. Then you take care of them. 6 weeks, we just come and left them. Then we pay you margins on every single bed. And so let's assume that we are giving you margin of 10 cedi or 20 cedi per bed. If you have 1,000 beds, within 6 weeks, you are making 20,000 Ghana cedi. That's how profitable it can be. And so when you do it like that, the farmer is able to build his own capacity and is able to even expand. Because if every 6 weeks he's making 20,000, he can expand in infrastructure and be able to take more and increase his profitability. You understand? And so that becomes a more sustainable model to produce enough poultry to feed the market. Because we are currently importing about $400 million worth of poultry. And in Ghana, yes. And in Ghana, every single day, every Ghanaian eats poultry product. It can either be egg or egg variation or chicken. Every Ghanaian. And so that means that you put your money where your mouth is. And that's why President Mahama is putting his money where the mouth is. And so Ninoy shouldn't be worried at all. Okay. There is a carefully calculated program that we are doing to make Ghana poultry self-sufficient. And the good news is that Ghana has access to the sub-regional market through Africa Continental Free Trade. And our neighboring countries that consume poultry also do not have the capacity and even the grains to produce the poultry. Ghana produces the most grains in the sub-region. Okay. Very good. And so if we produce the most grains, and grains are a critical input factor in poultry production, why don't we grow our poultry capacity and be able to take over the sub-regional market? As we speak, most of the poultry farmers in Ghana, they don't sell their poultry in Ghana. They sell it to Benin, Togo, Ivory Coast. So they slaughter their birds and move them there. And that brings in forests. That is full business for you. So let's grow and become poultry self-sufficient. Let's cut down on the importation of this poultry products. And look, I have eaten KFC in several countries. I didn't like KFC until about a year or two ago. And got you into KFC? Yeah, it was my kids. Okay. And I tried one and I liked it. So for 2 years, I've been trying to taste KFC everywhere, including US, where it originates from. Ghana's KFC is the best KFC I've tasted ever in my life. It tastes so well because the chicken is unique. The Ghanaian producing chicken in Ghana, irrespective of the variety, because of our feed quality, it gives you a unique taste for the KFC. So you try it. Try Ghana KFC and try KFC anywhere. Okay. And thankfully, KFC is now sourcing most of their chicken locally. Yeah, locally, yes. And I know of agreements that we have had with them on most of the projects, and they are taking the chicken.
Well, I just because Michael is still asking the question. Michael is talking about Ada East and Ada West on the watermelon, and I'm trying to just find. Okay, we do tomatoes and watermelon sometimes without proper market for products.
I know that my senior brother Eric Opoku is working on a project to set up a processing plant in Ada. So and we have discussed that together even with the MP. So I know Eric Opoku is working on some project for them to process the tomato and the watermelon from those areas.
Maybe some information for you. Kwame Odomante, shield of cashew nuts is used as chemical to spray furniture.
Yes.
Then Kofi Era also says,
yes.
Good morning, Doctor.
They get that from the nuts.
Okay.
Yeah, the husk around the nuts.
Okay.
They get most of the printing, the chemicals for manufacturing paint. Yes. From that.
Kofi Era is also saying, I live in the UK and we import dry coconut fiber to manufacture traditional upholstery seats in furniture production.
And let me give you one other use of the furniture, the coconut fiber. Most of the industries that are being set up, they use them to power the boilers. Power the boilers. And it's even more expensive elsewhere because it is cheaper to get to power your boilers. You know, the boilers they use to cool down their systems in the big manufacturing industries. And so that is why even poultry farmers don't get sawdust now. In Ghana, most of the industries are buying the sawdust. Sawdust that I used to buy, get it for free. Now I buy a bag, I think about 10 cedis or so from the sawmill.
Sawdust?
Yes, sawdust.
The one that you use
to the one we fetch for free.
Nobody will buy it.
Now it's not for free. Now it's a cocaine. You will have to order 1 week before you get. Because most of the factories are also using them as boilers. And so that fiber, the excess fiber, can be used for so many other things. Many other things.
To conclude, what is the focus for you this year?
The focus for us this year is to improve on the gains that we have made last year, but introduce new systems that will make our work sustainable. And so we keep on adding innovation to most of the things that we are doing. This year we are going to upscale in our interventions on the palm, the coconut, and the cocoa. We are hopeful that this year we will be able to start the cultivation of our Youth in Cocoa initiative. We've made significant progress. We are now moving into land preparation, and we are sure this season we could plant. The most important thing is that we are able to do these things on time so that we are able to take advantage of the season where we don't have irrigation.
Thank you. Thank you very much for joining us. He's Director of Presidential Initiatives in Agriculture and Agribusiness, Office of the President. It's always delightful speaking to him. You learn a lot anytime you call him into the studio. That's quite an education in agri. Thank you
Radio station you can
Well,
call your
there's
own.
also Albert, the one who says the future is in agriculture. Actually, the present is in agriculture, the past is in agriculture.
Everything is
agriculture.
You know, before I leave, let me say this. You see, the Maslow's theory, the needs of man. They said it's three, right? Food, shelter, and clothing.
Yeah.
Food is agriculture, shelter is agriculture, clothing is agriculture.
Dr. William Haji is listening to you. Says I should give you thumbs up.
Yeah, that's my boss.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you, Doc.
Thank you. And I wish you all the best.
Thank you,
because we'll get to speak to him subsequently this year. Anytime the issues comes up. Do you intend to be MP again? Would you try?
Not yet.
Not yet.
Not yet.
But you haven't ruled it out.
The responsibility that His Excellency has entrusted me with has engulfed all the time, and I need to acquit myself creditably so that at the end of that service I can find another venture.
I'm move
into another venture and acquit myself there too. I'm the kind of person that I like taking responsibilities and acquitting myself before I take other responsibilities. And for now, Parliament is not in my plans. I have a lot of people calling me, are you going for General Secretary? Are you going for General Secretary? That is also not in the plans. The plan is to deliver on the mandate
that you're being given.
Yes, and the mandate of His Excellency President Mahama, and to help to achieve his vision and leave a legacy.
It's wonderful to see you sitting in that seat.
Thank you for having me.
I am Senna Numbo. We'll see you tomorrow with another edition of the Gold Morning Conversation. Thank you for your time.
Another Maria Yabo. Doctor Simenya hepatitis B.
Dr. Akosia Power Specialist Herbal Hospital. Hey, dear, what's Bini? What hepatitis? I hear someone word on Kwang Krong. Nancy Bibi for Quakency. One hepatitis award. What ya to be America? The UK Bruchimem. Nakas or Jenokwa. Sir, na fatally van will fry a donchon. Ebeko, prostate, second part to coma bosso, and all set it, say, Seko to Genoa, Gosso Gossokra. Fako Power Specialist Herbal Hospital. Oh, where